have been. And wind chills tomorrow, pretty much the same story. We're going to see wind chills in the teens pretty much all day long. We do have a shot of some snowfall coming our direction. That snowfall overnight tonight, there is a chance we'll see some snow, maybe mixing with a little bit of freezing drizzle briefly. That's tonight, about a 25 to 30% chance. And then coming up tomorrow night, a better chance of some snowfall. I think we'll see probably about an inch or two across most of the city coming up tomorrow night. And some of the far western suburbs could see up to about 3. That's pretty typical Alberta clipper coming through tomorrow. And again, after that, Natalie, more cold air.
Oh, great. Thank you, Mark. We have some breaking news. A federal vaccine advisory committee has voted to end the longstanding recommendation that newborns get the hepatitis B vaccine. For decades, the CDC has recommended that all babies get a first dose of the vaccine within 24 hours of birth. The new guidance suggests that women who test negative for Hep B decide for themselves. On Good Day Chicago, we spoke with pediatrician Dr. David Stiasny about the risks of hepatitis B for newborn babies.
Most likely it's going to be from birth, from mom, or even some close household family members. If they get chronic infection as a newborn, they have the risk of having a 90% risk of having chronic infection, which can lead to cirrhosis and liver cancer later in life. It's a much higher risk than even if it was an older child or an adult. About 20 to 50% for older children, only about 5 to 10% for adults if they contract it. So much higher risk.
If families choose to skip the birth dose, the vaccination series would start when the baby is 2 months old. A CTA station used by more than 3 million people every single year is going to close for 3 years. Gabriella Primus spoke to some commuters about how that shutdown will impact their daily routine.
This is a popular station, as we know, but get this, it's 120 years old, so it's time for a little bit of a facelift. The work is going to start on January 5th and, yes, last until 2029. Now, this is a full demolition and rebuild of the 5th busiest station in the city. They will make it modern and fully accessible. The current outdated station will be replaced by a modern, fully accessible station with wider platforms and a continuous canopy that will provide shelter from these Chicago elements. There will also be a flyover bridge that will allow passengers to conveniently transfer between platforms. There will also be some street level improvements to expect. Now let's talk about your trip. Loop trains will continue to operate during construction, but riders can board at nearby Clark Lake or Washington Wabash, and the Red Line subway station will stay open as well. But pedestrians and vehicle access on Lake Street will be affected by this project. So let's go through it. Starting on December 8th, there will be intermittent closures eastbound Lake Street. Once the station closes on January 5th, Lake Street will be limited to local vehicles between Dearborn Street and Wabash. Now, southbound State Street will be closed to vehicles between Wacker and Washington. All lanes on the northbound side will stay open. Now, most of the riders we talked to are surprised. They didn't know about this project.
First off, I didn't even know, so that's actually kind of sad. I just conveniently love this line because I think it's connected to everything, mostly importantly, and then I also get off because I'm actually about to go to work at Block 37. I mean, if it's for better, improvements, then I'm all for it. But at the same time, it's just a matter of patience.
But honestly, to me, I just, step off. My office is directly across the street. So I just step off, walk in, and it's a pretty piece of cake that I guess I won't be having soon.
CDOT says most of the demolition work will happen at night, starting at 9 p.m., ending around 5 a.m. We'll keep you updated on this project on air and online. Gabriella Primus, Fox 32, Chicago.
10 people still recovering after an overnight apartment fire in West Humboldt Park. Roseanne Tejas has the latest.
That fire started just after midnight, forcing people out into the cold to escape the flames. Fire officials say 10 people were transported to various local hospitals, including Stroger. The apartment building is on the 1500 block of North Karlov, and firefighters describe finding a very smoky scene with fire burning from the basement to the upper floors and to the back porches of some of the units. Residents scrambled to get out of the building, several taken by stretcher to nearby ambulances. A deputy district chief credited firefighters' quick action for getting everyone out of the building and striking the fire, especially given the circumstances and the brutal cold.
Companies reported smoke showing. Once they investigated, they found that they had a basement fire. As they pulled up, there were multiple residents that were self-evacuating out of the building. As a result of that, we had approximately 10 transports to the hospital.
We don't have any word on the conditions of the victims brought to local hospitals. We are checking on that, and investigators have not yet said the cause of that early morning fire in West Humboldt Park. Outside Stroger Hospital, Roseanne Tejas, Fox 32, Chicago.
Today, Senator Dick Durbin and community members came together to celebrate his reintroduction of the Dreamers Act. This plan gives people brought here as kids a clear way to earn legal status through school, work, or military service.
80% of the American people, when they hear the Dreamers described, say, well, that's not fair. They deserve a chance. 80%. You can't get 80% of the American people agreeing on anything. But they understand that this immigration justice for young people is the right thing to do. And many of them believe it should be more. I'm one of them. It should reach their families and give many others an opportunity.
I was 16 years old, and I was in high school when the DREAM Act was introduced in 2001. That legislation gave me hope. Hope that I could go to college, that I could stay in the place where I grew up, and it gave me hope that I could not just find a job, but that I could build a career, and that I could give back to the community that helped raise me.
For now, DACA still stands, but courts could limit it. Senate leaders have not said when they will take up the bill. A Justice Department attorney is warning the U.S. Border Patrol's deportation campaign in Chicago may not be over, and the timing here is important. A judge is considering calls to dismiss a lawsuit challenging tactics used during Operation Midway blitz. The attorney claimed in court on Thursday that dismissing the lawsuit would prevent journalists and protesters from bringing similar challenges in the future. The Chicago Sun-Times reports the judge disagreed. This was the first hearing since a court issued an injunction restricting federal agents' use of force last month. There was no ruling on Thursday. A hearing on the dismissal of the lawsuit is set for January. Cook County is giving people another shot at knocking down their property tax bills. Now through December 12th, the county is reopening property tax assessment appeals. But the Sun-Times reports savings won't go toward the latest bill, which saw a record hike. They would apply next year's second installment bill, so that's when it would take effect. Those typically go out in the summer. The annual Winter Wonder Fest returns to Navy Pier today. Features a light display along with the skating rink, polar extreme obstacle course, and alpine slide. Tickets are available online. Kids under 3 get in free. It runs through January 4th. Well, you can be like Santa Claus today, not with a big red coat and a bunch of reindeer, but you can be like him seeing Christmas around the world. The Cook County Treasurer's Office will unveil its Christmas trees around the world today. It showcases about 100 different traditions. And it's a big day in the world of soccer, and President Trump, FIFA, the international agency governing soccer, is holding the 2026 World Cup draw. President Trump was just awarded with the group's first Peace Prize. The World Cup draw is happening, as we said, right now. It sets up which teams will face each other, where they'll play, and their paths to the final. And just moments ago, FIFA awarded President Trump with the association's first ever Peace Prize.
We want to live in a safe world, in a safe environment. We want to unite. That's what we do here today. That's what we'll do at the World Cup, Mr. President. And you definitely deserve the first FIFA Peace Prize for your action, for what you have obtained in your way.
Thank you very much. This is truly one of the great honors of my life. And beyond awards, Johnny and I were discussing this. We saved millions and millions of lives. The Congo, as an example, over 10 million people killed, and it was heading for another 10 million very quickly. And it just, you know, the fact that we could do that, India, Pakistan, so many different wars that we're able to end, in some cases a little bit before they started, just right before they started. It was going to be late, but we got them done.
This will be the biggest World Cup ever, with 48 teams and 104 matches across 16 North American venues. More news here on Fox 32 News at noon. ICE crackdown in the South. The latest from New Orleans as the Department of Homeland Security touts success. And another boat strike as Congress continues to question the Pentagon. What we know so far.
President Trump wants Americans to know that he is not letting up on the economy. I'm Alexandria Hoff at the White House with more on Trump's planned trip aimed at easing economic concerns.
The state of the economy remains a top issue for Americans, and after a dip in his approval ratings, President Trump wants people to know he is not letting up on the issue. Alexandria Hoff reports from the White House.
President Trump is hitting the road next week, headed to Pennsylvania to promote his economic agenda, as the holiday season highlights an issue many Americans continue to face: affordability. The president plans to address policies he says are helping to bolster the economy, including the recently announced rollback of fuel efficiency standards, cuts to prescription drug prices, and baby bonds.
Since last January, we've stopped inflation in its tracks. And there is still more to do. There's always more to do, but we have it down to a very good level.
Trump says he's working to undo the damage left behind by the Biden administration, emphasizing the rise of inflation and the decrease of purchasing power.
They caused the highest prices in the history of our country, the worst inflation in the history of our country, and we're getting those prices down, and they're coming down rapidly, and you'll see those results very soon.
Trump's visit to address voters comes on the heels of last month's election, which saw big gains for Democrats across the country. And as the 2026 midterms inch closer, Democrats are zeroing in on what they are calling an affordability crisis.
We haven't heard anything from Donald Trump. Apparently, he doesn't believe that there's an affordability crisis in the country. Like, it's unconstructive for him to conclude that it's a scam and a Democratic hoax. The American people know it's not a scam, it's not a hoax, it's very real.
Now, the Federal Reserve meets next week, and investors are feeling hopeful that a rate cut is in store. At the White House, Alexandria Hoff, Fox 32 Chicago.
The Pentagon says the U.S. military carried out another strike on a boat in the Eastern Pacific, killing 4 suspected drug traffickers. Lawmakers have been questioning the legality of these strikes, including a September attack in the Caribbean, where a follow-up strike reportedly killed 2 survivors. In a closed-door hearing yesterday, a Navy admiral denied claims that Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth ordered, quote, kill them all. DHS is touting Operation Catahoula Crunch, saying they've arrested dozens of illegal immigrants in just 24 hours on the ground in New Orleans. But their presence is also creating tension. And on Thursday, that boiled over at a city council meeting. Mike Tobin has more from New Orleans.
Look what your money is going towards. The tension over Border Patrol raids in New Orleans spilled over into a city council meeting on Thursday as Operation Catahoula Crunch intensifies. Dozens of protesters showed up and began yelling, some shouting shame and coward at city leaders as they feel they haven't done enough to resist the new immigration enforcement.
You have to leave. Exit.
Police were called in to restore order, removing some protesters by force. Council members say they understand the frustration and they're doing everything they can to help immigrant communities.
The idea that anyone would say that all communities in this city feel safe is completely false and detached from reality.
But the Trump administration says its new strategy is working. Dozens of illegal immigrants have been arrested in just the past 24 hours, including some of the worst offenders that should have been deported years ago.
Individuals that were violent criminals that were released out onto those streets, and we've picked them up and we're going to bring them to justice.
Immigrant rights are under attack. What do we do? Stand up, fight back.
It's the same story in Minnesota, where local leaders are vowing to resist a new ICE crackdown on the Somali community.
We will not allow a president or any person invoke hate to attack or single out any community.
But the ramped-up enforcement is already showing results. At least 12 arrests so far, and the president says there will be many more to come.
Most of those people, they have destroyed Minnesota, okay?
Here in New Orleans, activists plan to hold a major protest and march across the city on Saturday night. In New Orleans, Mike Tobin, Fox 32, Chicago.
The Supreme Court is allowing Texas to use a congressional map that's favorable to Republicans right in time for next year's midterms and may give Texas 5 more GOP House seats, holding a slim majority. The move blocks a lower court's ruling that the redrawn map discriminates on the basis of race. A Virginia grand jury is rejecting the Department of Justice's attempt to re-indict New York Attorney General Letitia James. A judge had already dismissed the original mortgage fraud case, saying Lindsay Halligan, the U.S. attorney who brought it, was illegally appointed. James has denied wrongdoing. The former Minneapolis police officer convicted in the murder of George Floyd is again seeking a new trial. Derek Chauvin's attorneys argue the doctors who testified at his original trial used methodology not generally accepted in the scientific community. They also argue the jury instructions were too broad and they misstated the law. Chauvin's team believes that allowed for an easier conviction. Hey, did you get a chance to see the moon last night? The supermoon, known as the cold moon, was the last one for the year. And it was cold, so if you got outside, you were cold. It's the second largest of the year after November's beaver moon, and about 10% larger because the moon is closer to Earth. Mark Strella's here now.
Yeah, the moon doesn't go around in a perfect circle. It's a little bit of an ellipse. So it gets a little closer, looks a little bigger, gets a little further away, looks a little smaller.
Amazing.
Yeah, makes the tides go up a little bit more and a little bit less also. So
that just is incredible to me.
It's amazing how our universe works.
It really
isn't it?
is, yes.
Well, it's a cold part of the universe right here today. We've got daytime highs today only in the 20s. We should be around, amazingly enough, around 40 degrees. Well, we're not as cold as yesterday, but we remain cold for the next several days, with temperatures staying below normal. We also have a little bit of light snowfall coming in across central Wisconsin, northeastern Iowa. We can see maybe a little bit of light snowfall here. There's a very complex forecast here this evening. So what we have are the clouds pushing in this afternoon and this evening. So those clouds on top could be warm enough that there's a little bit of freezing drizzle that starts off this event. Or there might not be enough moisture at all to produce anything. So it's kind of like 3 flips of a coin to see if we get anything out of this at all. About a 30% chance of seeing any precip at all, and it could come down as snow, or it could come down at first with a little bit of mix before it changes over to some snow. Accumulation's very light at all, but I want to tell you about that because there's always the potential to make roads slippery. Right now, we're dry. We're going to continue to stay dry as we go through the rest of the afternoon and into the evening. By tonight, there you see there's a chance of some snow. And as I mentioned, just a chance with a little bit of drizzle in there as well. So not a huge chance and not a big risk in terms of a big event coming our way. However, a little bigger event, which is an Alberta Clipper. Typically, Alberta Clippers drop between 1 and 3 inches of snow, and that comes in tomorrow night. I think here in the city we should see about 1 or 2 inches of snow, with perhaps as much as 3 inches through the Fox Valley. This is a look at Futurecast. Here's tonight's event comes through. Not a whole lot happening there. Our forecast model suggesting we shouldn't see anything out of that. And then in for Saturday night and into early Sunday morning comes this little guy. Again, I think about 1 inch or 2 is most likely out of this. And then as we head towards midday into the afternoon, pretty much we don't have anything to worry about on Sunday. We dry out, the exception being the possible wild card of some lake effect snow. More on that, the 7-day forecast coming up.
Thank you, Mark. The post office is ready for the holiday rush. Megan Spector has a look at the machine and manpower that's moving packages.
This machine can process more than 58,000 packages an hour, which is essential for the busiest mailing season of the year.
Much like Santa's workshop, the USPS package facility here in Avondale is gearing up for the busiest time of the year.
It's the holiday season, so it's that time when people are shopping, getting ready for the holiday.
Leaning on technology to help make sure gifts are under the tree by Christmas morning.
This machine here is 160,000 square feet. It's the equivalent of 3 football fields. We've increased our capacity from 60 million packages to 88 million packages nationwide.
And adding extra hands to manage the holiday rush.
We've hired 14,000 seasonal employees to complement our workforce of 232,000 employees.
But the support isn't just inside. USPS is rolling out more delivery vehicles on the streets too.
We have 24,000 new vehicles that have been deployed on delivery routes. And so we are definitely ready.
Delivering the holiday magic one package at a time.
Well, for 250 years, the Postal Service has been connecting friends and families and communities, and it's no different during the holiday season.
Make sure you're shipping your packages with plenty of time.
More news here on Fox 32 News at noon. New data finds getting the shingles vaccine could actually help with a totally different disease as well. Those details coming up. And before you gift sweet treats or delicious sides this holiday season, toxicologists say you'll want to double check the containers you're using, why it could pose a threat to your holiday feast. In today's Health Watch, a new study finds that a vaccine normally used for shingles could also help elderly women ward off dementia. Researchers say that shingles, vaccinated women 80 years and older, who were also living with dementia, They had a more than 50% drop in dementia-related deaths over a 9-year period. So they got the vaccine, they were better off. The study also showed that the vaccine helped reduce diagnoses of mild cognitive impairment for women without dementia. A California pharmaceutical company is testing a weight loss drug for pets. This is not a joke. Acava Pharmaceuticals is developing a long-acting implant to help your dog or cat lose weight. The chip-sized implant would deliver a steady dose of a drug to decrease a pet's appetite and slow digestion. It's estimated that roughly 6% of dogs and cats are overweight. The so-called Ozempic for pets could hit the market in 3 years. That cat needs something, I think, maybe a change in diet. It's the season of giving, but you'll want to make sure it's just sweet treats and delicious sides you're giving, not forever chemicals. Toxicologists say you should take extra care to pay attention to the kitchen items you are using, as some glazes and plastic materials could cause harm.
More and more research in the environmental realm is looking at how washing dishes in high temperatures, such as a dishwasher, may release microplastics into the environment. Specifically, lead and cadmium are known neurotoxins and carcinogens, meaning that they can cause cancer. So always look for labels such as food safe, non-toxic.
If you're preparing a holiday feast, avoid preheating dry Teflon nonstick pans and double check that old ceramic dish that you've had for years. Maybe you got it for grandma. Make sure it does not have any heavy metals inside. We may live in the digital age, but across the country, more people say they are hitting a wall with their devices. A report says 62% of people in the country are constantly overwhelmed with push alerts and notifications. To avoid digital burnout, experts say to pause those alerts and take 5-minute breaks away from your phone.
Awareness. So naming it for what it is. And, I think self-control is a big part of why people come to therapy. And, when we just sort of becoming more aware of the tendency to go to one tool.
If you're feeling drained by your digital life, you are not alone. A few small changes might help you regain some balance. Experts suggest pause those alerts and at least take 5 minutes a day without your phone. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Here's a look at some of the top stories we're following for you at noon. FIFA's World Cup draw is happening right now. President Trump was just awarded the association's first peace prize for his work in Uganda and the Middle East. And just moments ago, the draw got underway with President Trump and leaders from Canada and Mexico picking the first balls. And by picking the balls, we mean there are little team names inside, so we'll figure out what teams play each other during the big tournament. A federal vaccine advisory committee has voted to end the longstanding recommendation that newborns get the hepatitis B vaccine. For decades, the CDC has recommended that all babies get a first dose of the vaccine within 24 hours of birth. If families choose to skip the birth dose, the vaccination series would start when the baby is 2 months old. The city of Harvey is grappling with more layoffs in the midst of its ongoing financial crisis. The first round affected nearly 70 employees, many of them Harvey firefighters. And now 4 more firefighters have been sidelined. Casey Cronus is live in the newsroom with the very latest. Casey?
Hi, Natalie. This latest round of layoffs comes just a few weeks before Christmas. Now, more than 20 Harvey firefighters are without work. Originally, the city first announced the cuts as furloughs, but Harvey firefighters who were part of the sweeping staff reductions say they haven't been paid since late October, and they are without benefits. It's leading to growing concerns that the now understaffed department of just 15 people is overwhelmed as we approach the holidays. According to the Red Cross, fires generally increase in the fall and winter months, with December and January being peak months. Later today, we'll be chatting with the Harvey Fire Union secretary, who got the bad news that he was part of the recent wave of layoffs just a few days ago. Hear from him coming up at 4 and 5. We have reached out to the mayor of Harvey and the Harvey fire chief for more details, but haven't yet heard back. They've been relatively tight-lipped since that first round of layoffs took place in October. Natalie?
Yeah, and you can't imagine there are many employees left at this point, so you feel for those residents. All right, thanks.
We do.
Yeah, thank you, Casey. We'll look forward to that follow-up. In the meantime, we take a live look out here at Navy Pier, and boy, it's a chilly, chilly Friday, but luckily we're warming up just a little bit, right, as the days go on?
You know what? We're better off today than we were yesterday.
Yeah.
And those temperatures today actually could increase a little bit over the next 12 hours or so because our winds are coming out of the south and southwest.
Okay.
So, and when I say warm up, it's all kind of relative.
So we
right?
don't mean like Florida winds. That's not what we mean.
Unfortunately not, but at least we're getting out of the single digits and out of the teens into the 20s today. And I think during this 24-hour period before midnight tonight, we could actually hit temperatures above the freezing point. We had a little bit of sunshine in this picture earlier, not so much right now, but you can see those clouds, kind of mid-level clouds. And as we look off towards the north and northeast out over the lake, there's actually a little bit of sunshine across parts of the area here today. So, we'll take whatever we can get at this point because there are more clouds coming our way. Overnight low temperatures tonight back into the lower 20s in the suburbs. Not too many teens. You have to go up to Rockford to see temperatures in the teens, and we stay in the middle 20s for overnight low temperatures tonight. And then tomorrow, pretty close to where we will be today. Temperatures in the upper 20s. We could briefly touch on some 30-degree readings across parts of the area, but not so much. Chills still below zero at times coming during the overnight hours. Upper 20s today and most of the weekend. We do have a couple of rounds of some snowfall as well. So again, some breaks in the clouds. We'll take that. Not seeing much of a break at O'Hare officially. They're 26, mostly cloudy skies. Winds out of the south-southwest at 14 miles per hour. Feels more like 14 degrees this hour. So your satellite and radar, nothing really showing up here. This is just some false returns around the radar site. A little bit of light snowfall starting to pop up across parts of south central Wisconsin. Our numbers right now, well, we're 26 degrees at O'Hare, 25 degrees at Midway, and 27 along the lake shore. Here's a weak little disturbance. Our forecast model is not too impressed by this, but if we do see anything at all out of this, it'll be just a little bit of light snowfall, and there's a tiny chance we could see a little bit of freezing drizzle briefly. Either way, untreated surfaces could be an issue. So today, upper 20s on Saturday night and into Sunday morning, another round of some light snowfall. I think at this point, we're talking about an inch or two coming up Saturday night into Sunday morning. When you first wake up Sunday morning, I think we're still going to see a little pocket of this snowfall around the early part of the day. But late morning into the afternoon, this is 8 o'clock in the morning, still a little bit of light snowfall. Western suburbs starting to clear out, so pretty quickly during the morning and into the afternoon, we dry out. The exception being some lake effect snowfall. And again, those temperatures stay below average largely over the next 7 days. I've got that 7-day forecast for you coming up.
Thank you, Mark. A major announcement in the entertainment industry. Netflix is acquiring Warner Brothers Discovery. The Chicago Tribune reports Netflix will spend $82 billion in cash and stock to make the purchase. The acquisition will see franchises like Game of Thrones, Harry Potter, and the DC Universe under the Netflix umbrella. The deal is expected to close in 12 to 18 months. Still needs approval from federal regulators. Our Jake Hamilton will give his insight on the big deal coming up on Chicago Live. It's another big game for the Bears this weekend as they travel to Green Bay to take on their biggest rival. The Bears have not won back-to-back games against eventual playoff teams since 2006. On their way to the Super Bowl, Packers quarterback Jordan Love coming off a game against the Lions where he threw 4 touchdown passes. The Bears know what he brings.
A really nice deep ball, puts it in a very catchable spot for his guys to go make a play. And yet, when that's not there, he does a good job of getting the ball down to the check down, and those guys gain yards.
You can catch Sunday's game right here on Fox 32. Your home of the Bears. Kickoff is at 3:25. The Bears are kicking off their 37th annual coat drive. The team, along with Jewel Osco, the Salvation Army, and Sherway Movers are asking for your coats. All you have to do is drop them off at participating Jewel Osco locations right now through February 16th. You can find more information online at chicagobears.com/coat drive. Coming up, we're going to take a look at your business headlines. We'll be right back. $12:40 now as we take a live look at the New York Stock Exchange. Right now, the Dow Jones is trading up at 172 points. And now it's time to look at your business headlines with CJ Papa.
A Hollywood ending. Netflix agreeing to buy Warner Brothers Discovery's television and film studios as well as its streaming division, bringing an end to the bidding war between media giant Paramount and Comcast. The deal is valued at over $82 billion and will give Netflix access to Warner Brothers' trove of content, including the Harry Potter franchise, Game of Thrones, DC Comics, and more, but does not include Warner-owned cable channels like CNN and TNT. The European Union levying a $140 million fine on Elon Musk's X social media platform. It's the first penalty under the EU's new landmark digital legislation. This as U.S. officials have previously accused the EU of targeting American tech companies. The 2-year probe looking at whether or not X posted illegal content online. And the Grinch is taking over the Golden Arches. The fast food franchise is partnering with Dr. Seuss Enterprises to bring customers a Grinch-themed meal. It features something called Grinch Salt. It's dill pickle seasoning, adding a new twist to the classic McDonald's fries. The meal comes with your choice of a Big Mac or 10-piece chicken McNuggets and a medium drink. They also come with a pair of socks. That's business. CJ Papa, Fox 32, Chicago.
This movie, The Grinch Eats Glass Bottles. So if we're talking about dill pickle salt, I'd say that's an improvement. The noon show will be wrapping up in about 20 minutes, but Chicago Live is just getting started. Anita Blanton standing by with a look ahead. Hey, Anita.
Hey, Natalie. Yeah, we have lined up quite a bit for our Friday for the next few hours before we get out of here to all celebrate our weekend here. Because it is the season for the Christmas tree ship, we have to bring in the U.S. Coast Guard for the 26th year in a row. They are helping keep a tradition alive from over 100 years ago that brings the Christmas trees from the Upper Peninsula to over 1,000 families here in Chicago who can't afford one on their own. So we're going to catch up with them and talk more about this cherished mission that they are on yet again. It's also time for some massive football games, of course, at the college and professional level. So we're going to be checking in with Tina Wynn as she prepares to cover Bears-Packers. There's so much riding on that game, from the stats and the playoff possibilities to just sheer bragging rights when it comes to Bears-Packers. The rivalry is real. And then before we even get to Sunday's game that will be right here on Fox, there's the Big Ten Championship on our air. Ohio State versus Indiana. The game is so high stakes that we had to call in a Hall of Famer to help out. The man who has provided the Indiana Hoosiers radio play-by-play for decades, the one and only Don Fisher, is going to be joining me, and our own legend in the making, Jake Hamilton, is going to be chatting with me about Netflix buying Warner Brothers. We're going to talk to a pediatrician about more changes to vaccine guidelines for children. And speaking of kids, we're bringing in a local police chief whose department has turned stolen Legos into holiday cheer. There is just so much to get to. And of course, we will be right here online for Chicago Live from 1 to 4 with it all.
Thank you so much, Anita. Well, giving back over brunch, the Long Room's Do Good program is turning food and drink into support for local families. Coming up, how you can help fight hunger and homelessness just by showing up. The Long Room is turning brunch and cocktails into community support. Their Do Good program raises money for local groups fighting homelessness and hunger. And this month's events benefit housing opportunities for women and the Friendship Center. Joining us now is Director of Community Outreach, Haley Husky, and Assistant General Manager Amelie Vega to share how you can get involved. Ladies, thank you for coming in.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us.
Sure. So Amelie, we're going to start with a cocktail. This is kind of the center of it all. So tell us how this is benefiting the community.
Yeah, so this is our cocktail for a cause. It's called Kevin, named after the Home Alone character.
I love that.
It uses all local Chicago ingredients. So we're using 2 1/4 ounce of the Maplewood Spruce Gin. And then we're going to use 3/4 ounce of the Koval Cranberry Gin.
Amazing.
And then only 1/4 ounce of the cinnamon syrup.
Okay.
This is actually made by our coworker Ryan. He runs a company called Bitter X.
How fun!
With bitters and syrups.
I love, because I've not heard of these. I've heard of obviously the brands, but I haven't heard of these flavors. So this is great.
And then it's such
your ice cubes.
And we're just going to give it a stir. So this is our cocktail for a cause, which means every dollar per cocktail sold goes to the Friendship Center.
And Haley, why don't you tell us about the Friendship Center?
Yeah, so the Friendship Center provides free groceries for our neighbors on the north side in the neighborhoods of Lincoln Square, Ravenswood, Albany Park, and Westridge.
And so why was it near and dear to you guys to partner with that specific organization? Have you done things in the past with them?
This is actually our first time hosting for them, but they are really close, they're really close to the Long Room, in proximity.
Okay.
And also, obviously, the holiday, everyone deserves to have food always, but it's especially, families can be really pressed at the holidays, so. Yeah, we're also, until December 8th, we're hosting a donation box and running a food drive for the Friendship Center as well.
What can you bring by for the food drive? Is it just non-perishable goods?
We're specifically doing a snack drive, so granola bars, fruit snacks, applesauce, crackers, that kind of stuff is what we're specifically taking.
And then Amelie, tell me a little bit about the Long Room for people who are not familiar with the location.
Yeah, so we're located on Irving and Ashland, and we're actually open 18 hours a day, most days from 8 a.m. to 2 a.m. So you can come in for coffee in the morning and brunch, you can come in the afternoon for happy hour, and then we're also open all night for dinner and then after dinner if you'd like.
Because it is, I mean, it transforms, right? So in the morning, it's kind of this light, airy, fun coffee house. And then in the evening, more like your traditional Chicago bar. Is that fair to say?
I would say so, yeah.
Yeah, and why do you think it's been such a staple in the community since 2000?
I think what I always say is that you can have any kind of night or day you want to have at the Long Room. If you want to spend your evening drinking cheap Miller High Life and hanging out with your friends, you can absolutely do that. Or you can have a cocktail that you can't have anywhere else because we make them all in-house.
Haley, tell me a little bit about maybe some of the other programs that you guys do.
Yeah, so we have, we call them our Do Good Brunches. We've been running those since 2016, where we have a Sunday brunch shift from 11 to 3, and we donate 20% of bar sales to our organization of the month. And then we also have our Do Good After Dark program, which is the exact same premise, but on a Monday night. So our next Do Good Brunch and our next Do Good After Dark are this weekend, actually, Sunday the 7th and Monday the 8th. And we're hosting those for housing opportunities for women. And they help with, they provide affordable housing and individualized supportive services to people experiencing homelessness.
I don't know that I've ever heard of an establishment like yours doing so much for the community. So that must really be the cornerstone of the business.
I would say so. We just really want to, we are such a neighborhood establishment. People, so often our regulars just say oh my gosh, I just can't, I live around the corner. It's so easy for me to stop in on my way home. And so it means that we want to help give back as well. Yeah.
Well, thank you, ladies, so much for coming in, and thanks for helping the community in every way that you do, and happy holidays to you both.
Happy holidays.
And I wish I could enjoy this cocktail. Let me tell you, it smells so good. More news here on Fox 32 News at noon.
Coming up, it's a holiday family tradition that's been a part of Chicago families' lives for nearly 50 years. We're taking you behind the scenes on the set of the Goodman Theater's A Christmas Carol.
A Christmas classic returns to the Goodman Theater. Jake shows us what's new in A Christmas Carol.
It is a holiday tradition that has been a part of families' lives around the city of Chicago for nearly 50 years. Welcome behind the scenes at the Goodman Theater on one of the many incredible sets of A Christmas Carol. They are now in their 48th annual production, nearly half a century of bringing Charles Dickens' classic Christmas tale full of ghosts and redemption to life. Take a look at this. The beautiful Albert Theater, one of the many gorgeous views if you're happy to be lucky enough to be standing on the set of A Christmas Carol like we get to be. But listen, as gorgeous as this production value is and as amazing as these sets are, none of it would be possible without the amazing artists that bring it to life. And I want to talk with my good friend, the one, the only, Tor Campbell, the show's choreographer. Tor, come on out. I know, it's cold. I know. That intro was very long. I know, it's very cold. Tor, thank you for having me, man. I got to ask you, I feel like when a lot of people think of A Christmas Carol, they might not necessarily think of choreography. So what does that mean to be the choreographer of the show?
Well, to be the choreographer for this Christmas Carol, not just any Christmas Carol, is we are all about the Fezziwig scene. Most of them are. Yeah. But our Fezziwig scene comes in with not just dances of back then. We bring cultural dance in it. So it's like everybody's welcome in our Christmas Carol.
I love
and
that.
we show that in the way we dance in the scene.
I love that. What is it like to not just be one in the roles that you're in, which I'd imagine in the city of Chicago could mean so many different things, but to be a part of here at the Goodman, to be looking out at that Albert Theater, like what is that like for you guys?
Oh, it's an absolutely beautiful thing. This is my first year as part of Christmas Carol, though I've been in several other Goodman productions, and this is such a tradition in Chicago theater. It's such a glorious time to be here and sharing with these incredible artists. It's my third year being part of it here at the Goodman, and it never gets old. Every single night, we bring new joy to it. We see new faces out there. We get to experience it another time, a brand new time. And Christopher Donahue as our Scrooge is excellent.
All right, guys, we're out here at Goodman Theater taking you behind the scenes. Guys, thank you for having fun with me. I appreciate it. Tossing it back to you guys in the studio. We'll do one more. You guys ready? These are I can't pay for this mic. Mic drop.
Oh, my goodness, Jake. Thank you. Mark will have one final check of the forecast when we come back.